What's going on, world? What's poppin'? It's your boy Marco Polo. It's like my first profile piece, so bear with me. Pause. You know what I'm saying? I've been studying a few things and shit from hearing shit from this person, that person. Older gentleman told me about this. Being born and raised in Jackson, Michigan, I never knew nothing about Rudy Bladel. I wasn't old enough to know. I'm saying, but it's kind of a deep story. I'm gonna touch on it a little bit. Let me know what you think about it. Let's get right to it. Rudy Bladel, born in December 1932, passed away in November 2006. Known as a railway killer, Rudy was a serial killer who committed murders of 7 railway employees in the Rust Belt region from 1963 to 1978. Convicted of 3 of them, Bladel was sentenced to life in prison, and he later died from thyroid cancer in 2006. The first killings occurred on August 2nd or the 3rd in 1963 in Hammond, Indiana yard. After failing to receive a return signal from his colleagues in the locomotive cab, 52-year-old signalman Virgil Terry decided to investigate the matter. He climbed on the engine. He decided to climb on the engine and noticed 60-year-old Roy Bodoff, the engineer, and the 45-year-old Paul Overstreet, the fireman, were laying there by the controls. Both of them were shot in the back of the head with several 22 caliber shell cases being located at the scene. Wow. Terry called the police. Although they investigated the matter, no suspects was found in the murder. The only clue they had was from witnesses who had said they heard a motorcycle leaving the crime scene at the time of the slayings. Bladel was living alone in a trailer in Blue Island, Illinois, and drove a motorcycle. Wow, that's deep, deep story. Bladel struck again on August in 1968, killing a 51-year-old engineer, John W. Marshall, from Niles. They say Marshall was standing next to a diesel locomotive at the Elkhart rail yard when he was struck with a 12 gauge close range shotgun blast to his midsection. He got hit on his side and twice in the head. This time, with an eyewitness to the murder, they could only strive to kill him by the way he was built and the way he was walking strange. Wow, that's kind of deep. In March in 1971, there was another shooting at the Elkhart yard. 38-year-old engineer Louis John Sain from New Buffalo was shot in the back twice with a 357 revolver. Unlike the previous victim, however, Sain survived, managing to wrestle the gun from his assailant's hand and fire in retaliation, wounding him in the stomach. Both men were driven to the hospital emergency room, where Sain recognized his attacker as one of his old workmates, Rudy Bladel. He inquired about his reasoning with Bladel. He replied that he wanted to get Niles and the men out of Eckhart. The killing spree continued not long after that. In April of 1976, another victim was claimed at the same Elkhart yard. 51-year-old engineer James M. Tiny McCurry found Niles. He had been shot in the head with a deer slug 12 gauge while sitting in the locomotive cab, which was parked next to the diesel house. It was like 2 years after the murder. Bladel was arrested by the ATF authorities in January 1968. After the local police and authorities let him know that they knew about the 357 handgun Magnum that he purchased in South Bend, knowing they was a convicted felon, he knew he wasn't supposed to have any type of firearms. Knowing he's a convicted felon, he wasn't supposed to carry any firearms. So he wanted to be given a 1 to 5 year imprisonment term in the federal prison. He did his time in Sandstone, Minnesota. He released on November 16th on that same year. A day before New Year's Eve in 1978, Bladel booked it to a local hotel room in Jackson, Michigan. It was just him and a suitcase. He carried parts of a 12 gauge shotgun purchased from Elkhart Gun Shop around 2 years ago. He kept that with him at all times. The following day, he went down to the depot carrying the suitcase with him. When he arrived on the platform, he put the suitcase down and assembled a shotgun. And then he walked towards the locker room. Wow. From then, they said he shot 42-year-old flagman Robert Lee Blake from Southgate on the spot, before proceeding to shoot 50-year-old conductor William Gulick from Lincoln Park, who was just sitting at the table. Blade put another slug in each of them on his way out the door. Then when he was headed out, then he bumped into 32-year-old fireman Charles Lee Burton from Jackson, Michigan, picking in the room. He then killed him as well. He shot him knocking Burton on the platform, right on the train tracks. After leaving, Bladel dismembered the gun, the shotgun. He hid under some bushes at Cascade Falls. He then returned to Elkhart, where he living on a mission for the homeless. Wow. The Jackson murders had the police spooked at the time, but they soon connected all the previous murders with railway workers. Bladel was questioned, but you know how it go. No face, no case. So he get off on lack of evidence. So he wound up getting off on lack of evidence, but still he wound up being convicted of those murders. Three of them in Jackson, wound up getting life here, and he died here in prison at Henry Ford Hospital in 2006. It's a deep story. You know what I'm saying? I'm just learning the Jackson, Michigan history. Shit that's older than me. It's kind of crazy. I never knew about that till the older gentleman told me. But stay tuned. We got great stories coming. Hope we did great today. Our first time out here on this one. Peace and love. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications, and all that. All right, peace.